Hey everybody, welcome back to the QC. I'm joined today by frequent QC contributors Jordan and Jared, as well as Alex Helmer, creator and mastermind behind League of Cinephiles. How you guys doing today?
Good to
Well,
be here.
yeah, it's
Great.
good to be back.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we're gonna be talking about the Northman today and giving you guys our thoughts and opinions on that film. So we'll be doing that in just a moment, but before we do so, just a quick word from our friends.
This is Luke Goss, and this is one of my favorite places to check out all things movie. Check it out. This is the QC.
Hey, this is Nick Smith. You're watching the QC, the best in entertainment, reviews, and more. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
All right, so we'll jump right in. Can you guys just give me what was your overall impression of the film? What did you guys think?
2 thumbs up. It's excellent.
Love
I guess I'll go first. It's only because of what came out a couple of weeks ago. I would say best movie of the year, but to me second best movie of the year. But it's excellent, and it's my first real Robert Eggers movie because I'm not usually into the horror stuff as much. But I was a huge fan of it. There's not much to nitpick at all with this movie, in my opinion. Cinematography, acting, storyline, I guess you could say is a little. We've seen it before, just because it's a very classic tale, but I think it's still done in a refreshing enough of a way that I was never bored or falling out of the movie at any point. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can piggyback off that. I completely agree with everything Jared said. I think I actually had lower expectations than most people did, despite the great trailers and all of the marketing material, which got me kind of pumped. I wasn't a fan of either the Lighthouse or the Witch. Actually, I'm in the minority, so I was like,
wow.
Exactly. So I was like, I'm probably not going to like the Northman, so I'll go in expecting not to enjoy it, despite how good it looks. And then I went in and I absolutely, right when the second it ended, in my theater didn't clap, but you could tell it was close to clapping, despite the fact it was half full. And I was just blown away. The Batman, I expected that to be amazing, but it's on another level. I absolutely loved it.
Gotcha. So I saw The Witch. Robert Eggers. I've been a Robert Eggers fan since The Witch. I've been an Anya Taylor-Joy fan since The Witch too, because I feel like she hadn't blown up yet. But I love that movie. It's one of my favorite. It's easily one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and I still think that's his best work. As far as the Northman, I had really super high expectations. I came out, I had to digest. I didn't talk about it too much after the theater. I'm gonna let me think about it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I wasn't whoa, it was crazy. I thought it was still very good, but I still think cinematographically incredible, acting great. Storyline, like Jared said, was a bit predictable, but it's a revenge plot. What else could you expect out of it? And they did a lot of things differently, but all in all, I like it. I liked it, and I'll elaborate more after we hear your thoughts and we go into it a bit more. But definitely a very good, highly recommend, but I'm not over the moon about it for me.
Yeah, so I love the Northman. The Witch is definitely, as far as modern horror movies, one of my favorites. I didn't know at the time of seeing The Witch that really who Robert Eggers was. The name didn't really mean a lot to me, but over time through that film and then also The Lighthouse, I've come to really respect what he's done. We're both from New England, so that's a factor as well, just for full transparency there. But no, I really enjoyed the Northman. I thought, it was a film that it was rare for me in the case that I didn't really watch the trailer. I saw pieces of it, but I didn't watch the full trailer. I didn't really know what the film was really about, other than I kind of got the sense that there was a revenge aspect to it, and of course that's the main thrust of the film. To I think Jared's point that, and I think Jordan as well, that it's not really an original story, but the way it's executed and the kind of the cinematography, everything around how the film is put together is just feels top notch, and you really are transported to this world, and I think that's really what you're looking for in this kind of film. And I really loved it. We'll kind of get in some of the details more, but I thought it was a great film. I thought the ending was really powerful. I really enjoyed what they did there. I definitely feel like it'll benefit from a second viewing, similarly to The Witch, because I really have to watch The Witch a second time with subtitles to get everything, and I feel like I'd have to watch this again with subtitles because it's just they're speaking really fast and they're speaking in a way that is not really familiar, and that's kind of the point because it's set in the year 900 or whatever. So, but overall, I thought it was just a really amazing film, and I loved what Alexander Skarsgård did with the role, and definitely would recommend it to anybody who's considering checking it out.
Just don't beat yourself up if you don't remember the names, because I just saw it 2 days ago, and it's Fjörnir, and it's a lot of
Hamlet.
Hamlet, Fjörnir. That's all I know. That's all I don't even know.
Mother and Father. We'll
sure. We'll go Mother and Father and do what I'm trying to kill.
Yeah, if you're not Scandinavian, you might struggle.
Yeah. So I want to get you guys' opinion on, do you think this film's going to find an audience? Do you think it's going to be a similar situation as The Witch, where unless you're really into kind of the niche horror scene, maybe you just kind of miss it completely? And I want you guys to talk to me about that, and then also specifically the marketing lead up, because I know for me, I think they did a really good job of presenting it maybe as more of an action film than it actually was, because that poster with Alexander Skarsgård just covered in mud and grime and blood, really compelling image, and really made me want to see it. Even if I didn't know about Eggers, I think I would have wanted to see this anyway. But just want to get your opinion on both of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's really interesting because Robert Eggers is very much an art house style. Previously, at the very least, this had a $90 million budget. Before, it was very art house, A24 films, much smaller niche audience, like you were saying. So, but I still feel like this is a big budget movie that still has that art house feel to it. Like, there are a lot of things that if you're going into it expecting a traditional action blockbuster, that's not where you're going to get. There's a lot of moments in the movie, without spoiling, some psychedelic moments, some interesting spiritual moments, things that a lot of people might not be accustomed to seeing in a big action blockbuster like this. I don't even think I can call it an action blockbuster. I'd call it like a drama, a revenge drama with action in it. But I hope it finds an audience. I'm not sure, though. I feel like I could see a lot of people going in and being disappointed with what they get out. Just like The Witch, the marketing, they thought it was going to be like a hardcore horror movie or Hereditary, and they got something totally different. So I hope it kind of subverts expectations in a good way and not a negative way.
Yeah, so I feel like all four of us, when we went to see this movie, contributed to half of this movie's box office. It's not making anything. You said $90 million. It's sad. Same thing happened to The Last Duel, which I really loved. It seems like nobody really cares about these medieval epics anymore, despite how good they might look. Nobody goes and sees them, and it sucks that movies like this are in danger of not being made again. But yeah, and it sucks because I feel like if a lot of people see this, they would love it. But unfortunately, there is an audience there, but it just isn't very many people, unfortunately.
Yeah, The Last Duel is an interesting thing to bring up. I wasn't thinking about it that way. So as someone that watched The Last Duel on HBO, not in a theater, enjoyed it. I didn't think it was amazing, but enjoyed it. I watched The Northman on opening night. So, and I've never seen an Eggers movie before. So maybe that does kind of go towards the marketing side of the house a bit, because I watched what I saw from The Northman, and even that 90-second trailer, I was like, oh, that was really good. I was like, oh, Ethan Hawke, Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy, Alexander Skarsgård. And just from what I've seen, I'm like, yeah, that looks like a movie. And I would recommend this over The Last Duel. Like, I do think this is a better movie for me personally. So I'm hoping that this film will find an audience. I also, when we were walking out of this a couple days ago, I was thinking like, it could be a struggle. Like, it's the kind of movie that's like, it's not going to be for everyone. Sadly, despite how much I liked it, I also walked out saying like, that's very much like not a Marvel movie. That's very much not like, hey, grab all your friends, go see The Northman. Like, like I think of like, if you're not like into, it's not super actiony, but when it is actiony, it is visceral. Like, it is graphic, it's brutal. And I know some people aren't into that. Like, there's just a number of elements in it, like all together, like some of the spiritual elements I wasn't expecting, all the brutality, like the fact that it's, in 900s and there's a bunch of names you can't remember. And like, if you put all that together, it makes for a movie I feel like that might struggle to make money, which makes me sad. But hopefully I'm wrong. I just may not have enough faith in the American people.
Yeah. So it's interesting how you mentioned The Last Duel. Listen, Ridley Scott is probably my favorite director. I wanted to like The Last Duel. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it at home. But I really didn't like it as much as I wanted to. And I think comparing Last Duel to this film, I would put Northman way above. Because to me, Northman felt like the film, whatever they did with it as far as the direction and the cinematography, you felt like the film, you were in the year 900. Like, at no point do you feel like these are actors playing 2022 people playing a role. to me, when I watched The Last Duel and I see Ben Affleck with like the really bad blonde hair, to me, I just felt like it was 2022 people cosplaying as people who existed 1,000 years ago, compared to the Northman. I'm not saying Last Duel was bad, but compared to the Northman, both being medieval kind of period pieces, I think Northman is head and shoulders above The Last Duel, and I would hope that it would do better than what it is doing, because I checked before we came on stream and it's made about 24 million at this point, which for opening weekend for a film with a $90 million budget, I guess that's not too bad. I guess maybe they can kind of get close to making their money back, but it's certainly not like making huge numbers, which is unfortunate. But,
And with almost no competition either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It came. I searched it up on Deadline. It came fourth. The Bad Guys, Sonic 2, and Fantastic Beasts did better, and those are all movies that Bad Guys premiered this week. But how many trailers did we see for the Bad Batch on the Bad Guys on TV compared to the Northman? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know the Bad Guys was coming out until a couple weeks ago. I saw the exactly that was number one.
Yeah, our theater. It's funny. Our theater was about. I would say it's about 3/4 full. I wasn't really
Same
paying
with
attention now that I reflect back, but
I was thinking maybe half.
Yeah, I think 3/4 might be a little generous.
Did you all
Maybe
see it in
half, yeah.
IMAX? Did you all see it in IMAX or regular?
I guess the better
I
screen.
think it was IMAX. Yeah,
Damn,
pretty sure.
I only had regular. I mean, it was still a good experience, but I didn't get the IMAX. I still loved it though. I don't think it affected. I think when it ended, most people in my theater loved it. There was one guy who walked out, like a guy in front of me. He left and never came back. I was like, oh, okay. But everyone else went once the movie ended. I think everyone else seemed to love it. Everyone because once the credits roll, it's silent. There's no music over the credits. You can really hear what people are thinking about the movie. Like I was trying to listen up and see how much people are enjoying it, and people really did love it. People are saying this is amazing. Oh, the few people that were there wasn't too many people there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. So we talked a little bit about the Lighthouse. We talked a little bit about The Witch. So I know, Alex, you've seen all three. I think Jared, Jordan, you've seen 2 out of 3.
No, I've seen all of them.
I mean, you've seen all 3. Okay, and for Jared, this is your first Eggers film.
First Eggers film.
So really, this question directed at mostly at Alex and Jordan. Would you consider this to be Eggers' best film? Why or why not? And then also, as far as best film of 2022, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, I can't. So as I was saying, it's once again, I feel like I almost always spoil one of your questions later, Swanka, with one of my previous answers.
Me too.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I think that it's a good movie. I liked it more than The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is my least favorite, but The Lighthouse is very, very unique. It's an incredibly unique movie. So I feel like it's either you're into that kind of thing or it didn't really speak to you as much. But no, The Wish for me is his best work. It's just something about the tone. I don't want to go off on a complete tangent about The Witch, but something about the tone and just the setting and atmosphere. It's so unsettling without like a single jump scare. Like you're terrified and fascinated and mystified, but in the darkest possible way. Like I just thought everything about that movie is like perfect. So for me, it's The Witch. And the best film of 2022. If Everything Everywhere All at Once hadn't come out already and we had seen that, then I don't think it could be a contender. That's one of my favorites so far. It's only April, but that's the best movie of the year. I don't think that could be the best movie of the last 5 years. I don't know, but anyway, those are just my opinions.
So it seems like me and you, Jared, we have the similar opinions, but we're in different multiverses here. It's like a very similar. Like I don't think this is the number one best film of the year either, but I think it's because of the Batman instead of Everything. I really loved Everything Everywhere. I really I don't get me wrong. I think that movie's great, but the Batman was still my number one. If this movie is like the Northman is, if it came out in 2021 or 2020, I think it would have been my favorite. But just because the Batman came out, I'm like, oh god, it's number 2. It's number 2. I'm sorry, I called you Jared Jordan. I'm sorry.
That's cool. That's fine.
And the other, what was the other question again? Is it
best film of
Eggers'
2020? Is it Eggers' best film of his 3 films?
Yeah, I already answered that, unfortunately. But yeah, it's my favorite. Just I'm in the minority for The Lighthouse and The Witch. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I really feel like I need to see this film again because I'll be really honest. I would say I missed about 10% of the dialogue just because I just didn't know what the hell they were saying. I knew what was happening plot-wise, but I just the actual words were lost. Like the scenes with the tiny amount that Willem Dafoe's in the film, Like I didn't know what the hell he was saying. So I was like,
That's a
"Can we
good
rewind
point.
this, please?"
Don't even try.
Yeah.
for real.
And then also that was really strange. Like that must be a situation where Defoe must just be friends with Eggers because he had the tiniest role. He's like this jester that had like 3 scenes in the first like 10 minutes of the film, and he was gone. Right?
His head comes
Yeah.
back. Okay.
His head comes back, but
All right.
His
Yeah.
head, and his voice, and a little bit of his voice, maybe.
Yeah, but
Which
no,
is
I
fine,
think that's
that's my
cool.
spoiler.
I think
Yeah,
it's cool
if
that
don't watch this
Dafoe
movie
was
for
not
Willem Dafoe. That's what that
Say it
means.
again, Jared.
If you're watching this movie for Willem Dafoe, you'll be disappointed. Let's put it that
Yes,
way.
exactly. But yeah, no, I was gonna say if you made me choose, I think I'm gonna put The Witch in front of this one, but I want to watch it again with subtitles, and I want to watch it again knowing where the film is kind of going because I really was sitting there for at least the first half hour, like what is happening right now, like them doing the wolf stuff, and I really didn't know at that point where the film was going. I was like,
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah, I was trying to understand, like, is this a mystical film? Is this a world that has like magic in it, or is like implied magic?
Yeah.
And then they don't really answer that. I feel like there's kind of like implied that there's magic, but it's not like clear. So what do you guys think about that?
That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Actually, is that it's a very, if you look at it, it has kind of like a documentary, like you said, historical vibe to it, where it's like it's no confusing what's happening. Like everyone's giving their all, and it feels like you're there. And because of that, it's okay. Everything that's happening is completely grounded in reality until it's not. And then it kind of is again. But you're not sure about which one. The moonlight, I'm not going to spoil it, but the moonlight.
Make note the full moon's light. That's my favorite scene.
Moonlight, that scene that
cool
I think we all know what I'm talking about, is I love how they executed that. I love because it gives you ambiguity. And I think that's a really strong point of the movie. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the movie is that there's clear mystical, spiritual, magical elements, but they don't come out and say like it's just there. Like they give you kind of a way to be like maybe it wasn't. Maybe these people are just crazy.
Yeah, I love the Norse mythology vibe to it. I thought it was just really awesome. I love the combination of grounded versus kind of spiritual. And like that, for example, the scene where the Valkyrie is on her horse and she's kind of like riding. I thought that was absolutely beautiful in the imagery there. And how it connects to the grounded elements as well kind of makes them both feel more connected in a way. And so there's a narrative purpose for all of it. And I love some of the scenes that are kind of spiritual and grounded at the same time. Like, for example, when he gets the sword, he has to fight that guy to get the sword. I thought that was something out of King Arthur. That was something out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I just thought it was a great combination of both.
I think the spiritual elements of the movie help ground it more in a way, if you think about it. I think that seeing these Norse kind of like Viking people and like truly understanding what they believe, because some of the things they're doing, especially looking at it from a 2022 perspective, at first I was looking at them and I'm like, these people are absolutely why the heck would you care so much? Why would you do that? And then as the movie continues, you get a little bit more of a window into their belief system. And it's kind of something that kind of everyone in the movie has for the most part. And especially when you get to the end, then I'm like, oh, okay. I'm trying to keep this not too spoilery, but I'm like, as you keep going through the movie, some of the decisions that are made earlier started to make more sense to me. Because I'm like, oh, if you live in this world and that's how you think, then yeah, that's how I'd react to that situation. Because I was coming at it from me in 2022, and I'm like, well, right. I don't believe in Valhalla, for instance, right? So like I wasn't thinking about it, but then so I really like the way he interwove those two elements and did keep it like purposefully vague as to how fantastical like those elements were. I think that was very well done by Eggers and the crew.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a great point, Jared, because when you really think about it, and I saw this and I read a couple reviews just to get a sense of what other people were saying as well. The Northman really isn't really terribly heroic in the true sense. You know what I mean? He does a lot of things that they serve his character, and it makes sense why he would do those things. And they're not traditionally, I guess, evil things, but he's not like a really great dude. Right? Or I guess what I'm saying is some of the things he does are horrific in the sake of heroicism, which makes sense to your point, Jared, for a movie set in this world where it's not 2022. That they don't have the same kind of like cultures, laws, whatever that we might have now. So that was really interesting. And then the second thing I wanted to quickly add is as I was watching this film, it made me actually want to read up more on Norse mythology and just learn about what some of the things they believed, and some of the mystical aspects of it just seemed really interesting to me. And like they seemed almost like they were based in what could have been things people actually believed back then, and made me want to learn more about it, which I think is cool when you watch a movie and it makes you want to learn more about a culture that's completely foreign to you, right? So I think that was good. That was good.
Very quick side note. The wolf, they prayed to the people, Amalek and his crew in the beginning of the movie. They prayed to Fenrir, and Fenrir, I don't know if in Thor Ragnarok, that's the name of the wolf that Hela has. It's all Norse mythology. So there's different gods that they prayed to. I thought that was kind of cool because Norse mythology bleeds into a lot of different pop culture and fantasy things. But that was like Fenrir. I know him from God of War, the games, because he's in God of War, and he's in Thor Ragnarok. So it's I'm like, oh, that makes sense that they, these are like wolf people. They pray to the wolf god. So it makes sense that's the kind of vibe,
Gotcha. So last question I have for you guys: what do you think about Eggers overall? And I know Alex, you kind of iffy on his first couple of films, but just what do you guys think? Do you think Eggers is kind of at that point now where he's staked his claim as one of the top American-born directors working right now? What's your overall thought on that?
Oh, I feel like it depends on what you mean by top. Like, I feel like there's a difference between like a director that can sell movies and a director that can make movies. Catch my drift there, right? So
hashtag back.
So I think if you're talking about Eggers as one of the most like commercially successful directors, I think that answer is probably going to be a resounding no. But and not to be mean, like again, I've only seen The Northman, but based on what Alex has told me, I know about The Witch, I know about The Lighthouse, but those aren't not based on what I don't think those are movies that are ever going to like truly capture the American people, and that's okay. Like not every director needs to do that. So in that sense, no. But I think in the sense, can this man make an incredibly unique movie with a signature tone to it that like can't be replicated and creates a phenomenal viewing experience? Yes. So yeah, it just depends on what definition we mean by when we say successful or best.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that, because I feel like when it comes to a lot of these movies, I oftentimes think of when up-and-coming directors, a lot of times they start with A24. For whatever reason, I associate like some of the newest top talent with A24 a lot of times. Like take Alex Garland with Ex Machina, and now he did, after that he did Annihilation. He's doing Men after that. So I've loved his work before. I think he's one of those people who has a very proven track record. I think, like we said, Eggers is another really good example of someone who came out the gate with a really strong debut. Sophomore effort was really critically and commercially successful. So I think he's up there with when it comes to the people who are like, when you're making very unique films that you really don't see on a blockbuster scale. I think that's the exciting thing. I think another person to think of, like Damien Chazelle, when he started out with Whiplash, he had a movie that came out to resounding critical and commercial success. And then he's kind of just been trailblazing since. So I'm very excited to see
the Softies, I feel like could fit in there too.
Mm-hmm.
The Softies, exactly. The Softy brothers, and most of these people started on A24. Another one, this last one with Ari Aster with Hereditary and Midsummer. I don't know if you like those kind of, if anyone's seen those movies, but these are that kind of echelon of directors where they're doing their own thing and they're kind of trailblazing. They don't need the big budgets of 20th Century Fox and Paramount to make really, like Jared said, very unique, tonally unique and just engaging films. So I absolutely think ever since The Witch, I thought Eggers is one of the most exciting directors to come out in the last few years. So absolutely, I have to say yes.
I wouldn't say one of, it's like, is he top 20? It's a hard question to answer. I would say no, just because I want to see a bit more from him, right? He's only made 3 movies. And I definitely want to see him maybe do something out of his comfort zone a bit more to really kind of establish that. But I do think he's on his way to becoming one of the best. I feel like if we discuss this question in like 10 to 20 years, he will be among the best. So he's definitely on his way, and he definitely will be. It's just a question of when.
Right on. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you guys said. I think for me, just because The Witch, to me, I remember when that movie ended, I remember just thinking to myself, wow, that was something I really enjoyed that experience. It really was unlike anything I can remember seeing. And I remember immediately thinking I wanted to watch it again with subtitles because I wanted to pick up on the nuance that I'd missed. So, and I say that they're speaking that old English, New England speak. I don't know what the hell they're saying half the time. No, I really think Eggers is one of those directors where, for whatever reason, for me, when I think about him now, whenever his films come out, I know I'm going to be interested in going to see them. And there's a lot of really good directors that I don't necessarily feel that way about, that I don't necessarily feel like I have to see their films when they come out. Whereas Eggers, for whatever reason, he seems to have occupied that. He seems to be occupying that space for me now, which I think is cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. And anybody watching this, if you haven't seen The Northman, if you haven't figured it out by now, I think we all would recommend you go see it and tell your friends. It's a really good movie, and it deserves a bigger audience than it appears to have right now. So yeah.
No, don't do to this movie what happened to The Last Duel. This is better. This is definitely a better movie.
Absolutely.
No offense to
It's the
Ridley.
Last Duel shade. God.
This is a better movie. I'm just thinking because it's such a Alex. I got to give you props, man. It's such a good comparison because it was like hyped up and had all these actors. But it's a period piece, and then it came out and no one saw it. Like no one saw it. I didn't.
$12.
Yeah, exactly. Made $12. So go watch The Northman. It's excellent. Unless you're like super squeamish, you don't like unless you don't like violence in your movies ever. Like that's
The
the only
action
thing I would say don't watch it.
amazing.
So as you mentioned that, if you think about it, and I'm curious if you guys agree with me on this, while the movie was brutal, I didn't really think it was that gory.
No.
There was
Not at
one
all.
scene with the guy's guts got
Well,
Yeah.
Other than that,
I
a lot of
think
the violence was like kind of shrouded. Like you know he's stabbing somebody, but they're not really showing like some movies go out of the way and show you, like blood splurting.
Yeah, no, it wasn't grotesque. I honestly was expecting worse, honestly. Okay, so there's two things I was expecting. Really quick side note. I thought this one thing that holds it back the movie for me for being like incredible is that I thought the fight choreography, except the last fight, which was awesome, like the very opening fight where they're storming the town, I wanted like bone crunching, gritty, like hitting, like just destroy the people, and I didn't have that feeling. It didn't hit me as hard as I wanted it to. Not like it was still good. And I felt that the tone was perfect and the cinematography was good, but I just thought the fight choreography had something lacking. Not that it wasn't violent enough. I just thought that something about it was just lacking. I don't know. That was just me personally, though.
I thought maybe it's my sensitivity to violence and blood is I don't know. I felt that it was pretty brutal for at least the scenes with brutality. Like I won't say anything but the nose scene. I mean,
that
Oh.
was
both of them.
It was what I loved about this movie is that there's some movies, and I'm a big sports guy, specifically football. I'm a big football guy, and one of the reasons I love football is that there are crowd cheering moments where you want to get out of your chair and just like storm on the field and cheer. And there are moments in that in The Northman where I was just like, oh, like I feel like I'm in this movie. I want to like cheer on Amleth as he's like going on his rampage. Several of those moments, and there are some kills in this movie that it's one of those movies with so many great kills and action scenes that I want to go and see it again because I'm probably forgetting a lot of them. But yeah, I maybe because I went in not expecting too much action, and so when there was action, when there was brutality, I was satisfied with the amount I got because I wasn't expecting like Braveheart or something. But I was really, and Eggers is so good with the imagery as well. So even the few scenes we got, they feel like so much because they're so graphic and so like for the few scenes they're so cool when they are there.
Yeah, and I think the important thing I want to just add is when I say that it wasn't that violent, and to be clear, the movie is very violent. What I'm trying to say is it didn't seem like Eggers was filming it in such a way to like exploit the violence. It was more just like you know what's happening. You know that people are getting destroyed and dismembered in all kinds of crazy ways, but he does it in a way that almost feels, I don't want to say classy, but it's tactfully done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. You're not seeing people's like eyes bursting out of their heads. Like some directors would do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
Cronenberg.
What's that?
You're Cronenberg directed.
Yeah, exactly.
Cronenberg, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that was the correct approach because it made you still root for the Northman, even though he's brutalizing all these people. So, yeah, good stuff. Well, unless you guys had any final thoughts, we will end it there. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out today and giving us your thoughts on the film. Make sure you are following Jordan. Jordan, what's your Instagram handle?
It's just Jordan Case.
Jordan Case, and also Alex is a League of Cinephiles, both on Instagram and on YouTube, if I'm mistaken.
Yep.
Yep. Make sure you follow. I'm also a member of the League of Cinephiles, so want to support that. Make sure you go and follow and subscribe and get involved with them. And yeah, thank you guys for listening and for the best in entertainment. This is the way.
This is the way.
Peace.
See you guys.